Depression is spreading like an epidemic across the world. Medical science keeps coming with new theories about depression every other day. The latest one is its assertion that I am reading right now in today's newspaper. It is trying to categorize depression as a physical ailment, quoting George Slavic, a clinical psychologist at the University of California in Los Angeles. He says, "I don't even talk about it as a psychiatric condition anymore, as though it does involve psychology, yet it also involves equal parts of biology and physical health. It simply amuses me. Don't the so-called purely psychological disorders including anxiety and OCDs involve equal parts of biology and physical health too? If there is a phenomenon expressing itself in the mental zone, it must have its equivalent physical counterpart somewhere in the anatomical structure and the physiological process of the body, whether we know it today or we don't. A mental cause can certainly trigger a physical change in the mind-body system. Similarly, a physical cause can trigger a mental change in the mind-body system as well. Otherwise, how does the happiness pill work through acting on the body but expressing its effect in the mind? Sigmund Freud had as early as in the 19th century declared that every mental illness must have its physical counterpart that we would someday be able to discover. In fact, every single disease, whether of the body or of the mind, is a disease of an undivided mind-body system, and the process of its cure must also be an undivided mind-body medicine. What causes depression? Medical science doesn't yet know its exact etiology. Nor does another researcher, Turhan Kamli of Stony Brook University. He believes infections are the most likely culprits and we should rebrand depression as an infectious disease. He has not been able to associate it with any physical infection yet. But one thing is there for certain. Depression pains the mind and not the body. In this scenario, natural remedies for depression play a big role in curing depression naturally, in the sense that they don't have any negative side effect on the body or on the mind and treat the mind-body system as a whole. Still, we must try to answer the question, what causes depression? Maybe the new business culture that the world has adopted as its mainstream culture is responsible for this dismal state of affairs. What has the business culture to do with depression? It's a very deep connection between the two. The business culture encourages the establishment of big business that employs a huge workforce to manufacture and market its products. You and I in general belong to this huge workforce that doesn't feel an association with the entire business process, of which we are a mechanical part rather than an organic one. It generates in us a feeling of alienation from what we are technically a part of. We lack a feeling of belongingness in our professional life. It makes us feel lonely. Do you get what I am trying to say? Our social relationships cannot fill the void that our professional alienation pushes us into. We don't feel like going to the workplace since there is no thrill that we get over there. It robs us of all our passion. And what is depression if not the lack of passion in the body and in the mind, whether as a physical process or as a mental one? I remember a story of about 35 years ago. I had a very active and enthusiastic friend who took a deep interest and felt a great joy in dealing with everything that came around his way in life. Then suddenly it happened so that he started getting alienated from almost everything, including his job, his wife, and his friends, without any obvious reason for the state of affairs that he went on immersing himself in. It all kept increasing with time. He had to see a psychiatrist who prescribed antidepressants to him. But that didn't bring him back to his original self. He couldn't even talk properly. In fact, he didn't feel like talking much anymore. His depression was evident in the changed quality of his voice. I had an opportunity to go very close to his mind at more than one occasions. At one such occasion, for some reason he went angry. And lo, he was a normal man instantaneously. He remained normal for a few hours and then slipped back into his depression again. I learned my first lesson regarding depression that day. Depressed persons never go angry. If ever they do, they instantaneously come out of their depression. In fact, depression is anger turned against self, showing up as guilt, making its victim feeling like crying. Anger to alienation to loneliness to guilt. That's the journey from a so-called normal self to depression. Anger is violence against others. Guilt is violence against self. It comes to my mind that if we can somehow reverse the direction of this violence back against others, the victims can be pulled out of their guilty self back to their normal aggressive self. Now, I don't say that being aggressive is a healthy state of mind or even of the body. It keeps us under physical stress all the time, but we don't term it as an illness. Aren't we all aggressive to this extent or that? In fact, our corporate sector prefers employing aggressive personalities as they can fetch results better and faster. I am not here to write a treatise on psychology or our corporate culture. I am here to be in the lookout for natural remedies for depression. Remedies which may open the door to depression treatment without any negative side effects that antidepressants severely have on our body and our mind. Let depression vanish on our planet.